Patreon episode.
So, Ricky, we just finished the last episode. You hit us with a very hard-hitting story. What were your thoughts? How was that first time telling that story publicly?
Yeah, it was good. I waited a couple of years to kind of talk about this because it was borderline traumatic. If I'm being honest, was not really sure how my my day was going to go, how that was going to turn out. It was definitely the most terrifying incident I'd experienced traveling abroad. But I love Lebanon. This one thing I want to kind of plug here is anyone interested in travel to Lebanon. It's my top three easily favorite countries in the world. People are amazing. The food is the best. It's safe. It's diverse. It's just got everything you could possibly want. It's how and why I fell in love with it. So don't let this story deter you from Lebanon. Just don't be a moron like I was with pink board shorts and a vlogging camera and go wandering off. That was my mistake, that I was wandering off somewhere that I had never been before and didn't do my research. And so, just be smart, and you'll love Lebanon. So it's an amazing place.
So, Ricky, I want to talk about some of the positives of Lebanon. Lebanon, I've heard, and I've talked about this before on the podcast, but like I've had a guy tell me, I was like, what's Beirut like on a night out? And he told me it's like people smoke 3 cigarettes at once. And I was like, fuck yeah. I'm interested. I'm intrigued. What's a night out in Beirut like?
It's funny. I'm almost hesitant to talk about the greatness of Lebanon, specifically Beirut. Beirut is my favorite city in the world, hands down. I'm almost hesitant because I don't want other people to go there because it's mine. No, but
Territorial.
yeah, very much so. I love Beirut. It's got anything and everything you could want. It's got history. It's got a past that has been a turbulent past, and there's the resilience of the people there that just was what makes the people so great. Nightlife, like there are McLarens and Lamborghinis next to in like a nightclub with like supermodels next to like a Shia mosque, and everyone's going to pray, and like that contrast there, I think, is what makes it such a special place. It's an extremely diverse country with Shia and Druze and Sunnis and Christians, and I think it's almost it's incredible how this country has been able to find at least even relative peace, having such a diverse makeup in that country. It's incredible. Beirut is a city. Amazing. Nightlife, bars, partying, beaches. Maybe not beaches. Maybe more like coastline. But Mediterranean clubs. My friends and I, we would always go to a place called Junier, and we'd go to like these big like resorts or like clubs or like even like little shacks on the Mediterranean. Grab some beers with your friend, get some food. It's just like if you want party scene, you can have it. If you want historical scene, it's there. If you want to just take in the history and enjoy the culture, the food, it's literally got everything. So.
I'm intrigued, dude. It's a part of the world that I think right now a lot of people are fading a little bit because of the conflict going on. But I've got a lot of buddies in Jordan, and I really want to go check out Jordan. I have a lot of people telling me that Lebanon is the shit. Like, I want to try to smoke 3 cigarettes at once. I don't even smoke. I would like to try that though, just to see what happens. In Beirut, smoking 3 cigs at once, like that'd be pretty cool.
Man, the first time I went to Beirut, I grew up with Syrians. My second family they're Syrians. My best friend's from Damascus, and second parents are from Damascus, and I grew up with a lot of Syrians and Lebanese and Saudis in Orlando, Florida. And so that influence was with me for, since I was, 15, 16 years old. And, I couldn't go to Syria, obviously, because of the conflict. So I chose to go to Beirut. And the day that I touched down, it did something to my soul. I don't know. It's it's a special place.
It sounds like a fucking sick place. Earlier you were talking about your story, and you were talking about, I got to go to the bathroom. I'm going to piss myself. And it's funny timing because I was actually listening to a podcast. Have you ever heard of the Real Dictators?
I've not, no.
dude, if you're any bit of a history buff or care about, wars, that type of thing, real dictators on Noiser. I don't usually plug other podcasts, but I fucking love that podcast. It's a podcast that they'll just do like the theatrical version of what's happened, or the with different dictators. So like they talk about their lives, but it's like it's happening, so you can hear like the actors speaking as the dictator and stuff like that. And interestingly enough, I was listening to so they have all the classic ones, you know what I mean? The Stalins, the Mao, the Hitler, those ones. But they were talking about Saddam Hussein recently, and a bit of an interesting dude. He one of the big things I think that I've gathered from listening to all these podcasts is, if you're a dictator, likely you had a fucked up childhood. Yep. You probably got abused. Like, for example, like Saddam, I think his father left his mom before he was even born, and then her like firstborn son died, and then he got born to like kind of his uncle raising him. His mom left him for his uncle.
Yeah.
And so he kind of had a fucked up childhood, and I think Stalin had a similar childhood. Like, he was like adopted, and he had a pretty fucked up childhood, especially as a Georgian, right? He's from Georgia, not even from Russia. But I just thought it was really interesting to kind of hit the same things, because as Saddam's growing up and he's gaining power, he joined a political group, and then he got captured for trying to assassinate one of the president at the time or whatever. And while he's in jail, getting transported from one jail to another, they stop at a restaurant or something for them to eat. And then he does the classic Ricky Seaman, "Hey, I got to go take a piss." And then his posse just like fucking take him away. And then he just pieces out. And then eventually they took over the government. But that's the classic, "I got to go take a piss."
Yeah, he was a weird dude, wasn't he? From what I've studied,
married his cousin.
Yeah, that makes sense. That all the my second focus behind security issues was focusing on DPRK and Kim Il Sung and that whole. I was just fascinated with the DPRK and the Kim family, and so learning about.
I think you'd love this fucking podcast, dude.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
You probably know a lot of. Sorry,
what's it called again?
The Real Dictators.
Real Dictators. Okay, cool.
And like the Kim Il Sung and Kim Jong Il, like just learning about I think some of the stuff that's really interesting about learning about them is like, you don't realize that like propaganda could be used against you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You always think, oh, that's what they use against in another country. But like, you then hear, what was Kim Jong Il's first job? His dad appointed him to the job because that's what he wanted. But like, it was propaganda minister, and he was a film director.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He kidnapped this like really famous Japanese actress, and like when she was on an island between South Korea and North Korea, and then he just kidnapped her and then used her as an actress in a bunch of his movies.
Yep. It's crazy.
You know what I mean? So it's like, you don't realize that movies could potentially be propaganda.
Yeah, for sure. I'm curious, it's called The Two Dictators? What's it called?
It's The Real Dictators. Or Real Dictators. Yeah.
I can learn 7 languages I can't remember. 20 seconds after you told me. The Real Dictators. Yeah. I'm fascinated by all dictator stuff. Mobutu, all those crazy. There's this weird. I don't know, they're all fucking lunatics. I don't know. I love it.
Yeah. Hitler too had like a really bad childhood, right? You know what I mean? So it's I think if there's one thing to take away from the metadata of that's been downloaded into this podcast is, fuck, don't beat up your kids, man. You might raise a dictator. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fuck.
For real. I'm gonna check that out for sure.
Yeah, cool, man. Listen, Ricky, I just want to touch on some of your videos. If I can give an award to your videos, So I did have a chance. I had a chance to look at your videos. I looked at the past ones. It's ones from 7, 8 years ago, 6 years ago to kind of today. And if I can give you an award, I give you most improved.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I honestly think that you just looking at some of the last ones, you know what I mean, like some of your like earlier videos. I think you're exploring how to become a blogger. You're out there and you're just. I think that it was just your earlier work, but I think that the work that you did, especially recently, like the Uganda one, the Guyana one, I thought was like spectacular, dude. I was 20 seconds into the video, and my fiance and I were watching the video. She's a big travel fan as well. And we're like, holy shit, like this is a different level. Like you came out with like a Muhammad Ali quote, and I was like, dude, like I got chills. Like, holy shit, Ricky, what the fuck?
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Like that was
Yeah,
like I love the Guyana video.
thank you. Yeah, man, I'm trying to find that balance between what the YouTube algorithm likes, with that raw real time footage, and also like my background is documentary film. Do you know who Tim Hetherington is by any chance?
Who?
Tim Hetherington. Tim Hetherington was he was the guy that filmed Restrepo, the documentary Restrepo. Have you seen that?
No.
He was a war photographer, journalist, probably arguably one of the most famous of all time. He died in Libya. He was killed in Misrata during the war there. I grew up idolizing him, for years and years until he was killed. I'm trying to find that balance between like that raw what footage of what the YouTube algorithm likes, just me filming myself in a place, but also documentary and capturing the stories, also capturing the history. I'm trying to do that. Like I'm doing my DR Congo episode right now, and I was just gonna like let it run, just like me and the guys in Goma, just walking around. I'm hanging out with a bunch of comedians, but I'm like, man, there has to be context. Like I've got to have my narration. I'm a writer, so I've got to have my narrations and
narration is really important. I think. Listen, I think you have I think you have the content. You have the storytelling ability. You have the another really another differentiating factor I found was that you have really great use of music.
Thank you, appreciate it.
So for me, man, I think you're on the cusp of like you're about to go up, because I think that you're Anyways, I was really impressed, man. Just I thought your past videos were great, but I thought like just from then to now, I was like, shit, whoa, this guy hit another level.
I appreciate it, man. It means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah. So for you, Ricky, like you've done a lot. You've been to I think 87 countries.
Yeah, I have.
What's next? Like what are you looking forward to? Like what's your Mount Rushmore of the next 4 activities you want to showcase on YouTube?
So I'm trying to hit 100 countries this year. For YouTube, I'm trying to film in Libya. There are a couple of white whales out there that I've been trying to hit. I'm trying to film in places that have not been filmed in before or done before. That's kind of been what I've always tried to do, which is why I went into Cité Soleil when no one else had gone there. I was one of the first YouTubers to go to Somaliland. I was one of the first to do it. I'm just like trying to constantly explore possibilities, and I've got a couple ideas. Libya is one of them, but I won't reveal my secrets too much. But Libya, excited to go to Venezuela, and there's some other countries that I've already been to, but particular places that I haven't been able to get into, and no one's been able to get access to recently. So trying to get in there and get some stories there.
I really liked Bald and Bankrupt's Darien Gap videos. Did you see those?
Amazing. Yeah, it was amazing.
What
things
a
like that. I love that. That's some of the best content on the internet. So
he's pushing it, man. Like riding on the fucking train back to like, holy shit, dude. Like,
yeah.
What did they call it? The monster or something? Or anyways, it's a fucking wild series of videos. So I had a few other things for you here. Dude, There's one part of the world that every time we look at a map, it's not represented. You know what I mean? Like you can see a map that has like topography and like mountains and stuff like that, but is not actually represented in most maps. And it's a place called Antarctica.
Yeah.
I want to take a figurative tinfoil hat and put it on. What do you think is in Antarctica? Why the fuck isn't it on most maps detailed as all the other countries?
It's one of two things, right? It's either military bases or it's aliens, right? I'm with you. Antarctica's been high on my list to visit, but yeah, there's some weird shit going on there. I'm with you.
There's something there, man, because like it's, dude, we give it props so much that we name it a continent, but yet I don't even know what the capital is. Go fuck yourselves. This is alien shit, man.
They recently found like I swear this was like a real article. It was something about like divots or something like that in the ice, like right in the center of Antarctica. I probably shouldn't, I'm not making this up, but they said it resembled some kind of man-made structure, and it was like 500 feet below the ice, and from like satellite images, it looked like an actual man-made structure that was once there, like the foundation of one or something like that. And so they're speculating. Didn't make it up. It's aliens.
I know, man. I just really don't know what to think about it, but my gut feeling says that there's more to it.
Yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go explore there. So I just gotta get used to that cold, man. I might have to train for a couple of years living in Miami right now. Oof. I don't know how people do
dude,
that.
haven't you been to Canada?
I've been to Canada many times, but always during always June and July.
So have you seen snow?
I have, yeah. I live in New York City.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I'm not a huge fan. It can be beautiful, but man, I'm a Floridian man. I like palm trees and heat. Take it any day.
Speaking of heat, something that I guess I'm pretty passionate about too is rainforests, the wild, the Amazon. Have you? Yeah. I know that you got a chance to stay with the Embera people in Panama.
Yeah.
Did you have any other experiences? I guess in the rainforest. You know what I mean? That type of stuff. That is worth talking about.
Yeah, it's I see I see Mike Corey, and I see a lot of these other YouTubers that are
you mean that are golden or Emmy Award winner Mike Corey.
Yeah, exactly. His content's amazing. Yeah, he's great.
It's nuts.
And his he does a lot of his niche is like a lot more like tribal stuff like that, and
psychedelics.
Yeah, psychedelics. Yeah, I was my focus has never really been on tribes or indigenous people. Maybe not. I don't know why. I've just been more fascinated, I think, with cities and history. Conflict is interests me, but after spending time with the Embera in Panama, I would love to get out there and start filming some more stuff with some tribes and indigenous peoples. Papua New Guinea. Maybe I'll be the first person on North Sentinel Island. Who knows?
Oh fuck, that's a dude. Do you want to die?
I may or may not be back on this podcast again to tell that story. So
make sure it hits the cloud. Do they have Wi-Fi there?
I think so. Yeah. No plans. Papua New Guinea's high on my list, so maybe I'll go into West Papua and do some videos there.
Escape the cannibals.
Yeah, Kurt Katz did some really great videos in Papua New Guinea. Really good content, and he went to some places that no tourists really go or maybe have ever gone. So it was pretty intriguing stuff. So West Papua is high on my radar.
Yeah, Kurt's a guy I've tried to get on, but he's just a little tough to get through.
Yeah.
Who would you like to hear on the pod?
I think you got to get
YouTuber kind of people that you listen to.
Yeah. Yeah, I just for the first time just met Drew Binsky. He was doing his book tour here.
Nice.
Drew's got some good stories. I've known Drew more or less for a couple of years. I helped him out when he was first going to Kurdistan, and most recently helping him trying to get into Paraisópolis, into the favela in São Paulo. I filmed a bunch of videos in that favela, which was badass. Did you get to go to a favela in Brazil?
Well, I didn't do the favelas, but we definitely did an area where there was we might have fucked up a little bit. It was a place called San Miguel in São Paulo. It is it's considered the ghetto, and it was the day I didn't know that we were going, and I just happened to have a Budweiser cutoff, and my buddy just looked at me. He's like, "Are you serious? Like, we're going to San Miguel?" I was like, "What's San Miguel?" Like, I don't know. And we were taking the train there. We get to the exit, like when we're about to leave, and literally I made eye contact with the woman, and she just shook her head. She's like, "No, don't go."
It's called San Miguel.
San Miguel, I think. Yeah.
Can I ask my wife really quick what she thinks about that neighborhood?
Sure.
Amor, ven para cá bem rápido.
Yeah.
I'll introduce you. Are we live right now?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, that's fine.
Vem para cá. Esse é o meu amigo Phil. This is my wife Amanda. Lean in.
Hi.
Bahia.
Ai, que
Você já ouviu? Ela falou que ele foi pra lá, tipo, meio...
Uma comunidade?
É, meio favela.
Ah, sim, eu acho que eu sei.
Me disse que é bem estranho e perigoso. Você já viu?
Perigoso,
yeah. She confirms.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's let's just say there was bars in front of the house that we were going to visit. It was like
a telltale sign.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
A little bit. Can you tell that I had a coxinha this morning?
No coxinha, something.
Oh, where?
She did too.
Yeah, me too.
Nice.
Where did you get coxinha?
So there's a woman at the farmer's market here in Canada who's from Rio and does coxinhas. Cool. So she does chicken, just queijo.
Queijo, yeah.
And she does pulled pork. It's actually really good.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Nice, man. What were we talking about before? About how we get talking about favelas? You were asking about
you hooked somebody up to. Who did you hook up to? Drew Binsky.
Yeah. I was helping him with try to find some context in Paraisópolis. I think you got to get Drew in here. I think. Did you ever watch David's Been Here?
Nope.
David's Been Here. Ava Zubek. No. I can send you over some recommendations.
I'd really appreciate it, man. Especially if you have an in with Drew. I've tried with Drew before, but sometimes it's like either they're swamped, either they see 2 beers, they'll take off. They think it's some joke, or you know what I mean, like 2 beers. They're like, "Oh, beer. Yeah. Oh, that must be like not serious." But like, whatever. He's
a pretty busy dude. Yeah.
Yeah, and I respect that. But if you could come on, that'd be great. The only thing I think I questioned with Drew is I don't know if he had he seems to have a very clean image.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if he wanted, you know what I mean? Like I maybe don't, or I guess you could say I'm quote unquote explicit in the podcast world. So I just didn't know if he would not be cool with that. Podcast
a little too edgy for him.
I haven't seen him on a ton of podcasts.
Yeah.
So
it's a good point. I haven't either. I'll send him a message. Yeah, it's funny. I met him recently. We've talked over the years, and but with a following like that, he it's tough to remember people. So he didn't remember me like I remember.
It'd be cool if you could, man. But if not, it's all good. I want to talk about since you have a big interest, I guess, in Brazil, maybe some of your favorite spots, favorite things to do in Brazil.
Yeah. So I lived in São Paulo. Love São Paulo. Going to the football matches, soccer matches there. And it's an experience. You went to one, yeah?
Not in Sao Paulo. No, I didn't actually go see a game in Brazil.
Okay, yeah, you were in Peru. Where were you?
I was in Colombia.
Yeah, Colombia. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's watching whether you like soccer or not, the experience of going to see a professional soccer match in Brazil is another level. Yeah, I'd highly recommend going to see some of the matches, preferably Corinthians, by Corinthians, caralho. Yeah, there's a good food scene actually in São Paulo. São Paulo's got a really good food scene. Japanese food. It's the highest concentration of Japanese outside of Japan. Brazilian food, obviously. You could go to a fluxo like I did. Phil, do you know what a fluxo is? Have you heard that term before? A fluxo is baile funk na rua. It's a street festival that plays funk music, Brazilian funk. Usually it's within a favela or in a community like a favela. I went when I was living in São Paulo. I went and I randomly found. Actually, I had some YouTube subscribers that reached out to one of my vlogs saying that they would help me take me to a fluxo at night. The street party. Fluxos are notorious for having gang activity, crime. Police don't go there. That's the kind of atmosphere, at least stereotypical atmosphere for a fluxo. I mean, especially in Rio, like that's legit. Those photos there, But the one that I went to in São Paulo was much more laid back, and yeah, I got to meet up with some people, and we went to this crazy ass street party in the favela in São Paulo. It's called Paraisópolis, the same place that Drew went recently. Yeah, if you can do that, do that. What else?
Fucking right.
Brazil?
But don't go if you don't have a local connect.
Absolutely, for sure. Just like you
will get robbed.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, you got to be smart, like in any situation, right? Some imbecile walking around with his Rolex, right, at night in the favela. But yeah, I highly recommend Brazil. One of my favorite countries in the world.
Last question for you: is there anything that you expected me to bring up and I didn't?
That's a great question.
Something you're like, fuck, he's gonna definitely talk about this, and he's like, oh no, he didn't.
Yeah, not so much what you were going to bring up. There were certain stories and things that I wanted to hit on to like kind of talk about some crazy stories. I'm trying to think. We talked about Lebanon. We talked about Afghanistan. Actually, yeah, there's a story that I had in Somalia, which is a pretty crazy story. And I can put it in hyper speed if you want, but
no, dude, really we're taking our time, dude. Whenever.
Cool. Yeah. I mentioned getting detained in Mauritania. I mentioned Transnistria. Yeah, I'm working on a book right now, actually, like writing down all my craziest stories. So these are all like fresh in my mind. The one story that I was going to talk about, if I wasn't able to tell that Lebanon story, was going to be what happened to me in Somaliland in northern Somalia. I was invited to go to Somalia, and I've been wanting to go to Mogadishu for a long time, but Mogadishu is another level. Have not been there yet, but
Ricky, can you maybe just speak quickly about what Somaliland is? Because people know Somalia, and they've probably heard about Somaliland, but just what's the breakdown?
Yeah, for sure. So Somalia is broken up into different regions. If you're looking at UN federal Somalia, it's going to be the whole Horn of Africa. But there are several regions like Puntland and Somaliland, which are regions of the country that are autonomous regions that have their own militaries, have their own passports, currencies. They're autonomous states, for better or for worse. And so Somaliland is one of those. It's in the northern region, bordering Djibouti and Ethiopia. And so I tried to cross the border into Somaliland in 2016 or 15. And that's maybe another story, but I took a bus across Ethiopia from Addis Ababa to Harar and then Dire Dawa, which is all kind of the Somali region of Ethiopia. Last second, I couldn't go. I didn't go because there was no internet in my hotel in kind of near this border town. And everyone in the hotel was telling me not to go because there had been some Al-Shabaab, a terrorist organization, had been some Al-Shabaab activity there. In reality, it wasn't. It was just kind of this local militia police force that had been stopping people. They're kind of enforcing their own laws back in 2016. It wasn't Al-Shabaab, but I didn't trust, my gut enough because I knew there was no Al-Shabaab activity there. But long story short, I didn't go to Somaliland, and I really wanted to go to Somalia. I've been wanting to go to Somaliland for years. So I finally got the opportunity to go when a friend of mine invited me to come and film a promotional video for a tour company for him. And so I did that. And then outside of that, I had some time to explore on my own. And so I took a truck across the country from the capital all the way out over to Berbera. And so I was it was maybe like a 5-hour truck ride from Hargeisa, the capital, to Berbera. And I get there. There's this old mosque. It's like a 500-year-old mosque. It's crazy out in Berbera, kind of middle of nowhere, tiny little town on the coast of Somaliland. And I'm with my fixer and my driver. And my fixer happened to be part of the Somaliland military, armed, and was my security there as well. So it's during Ramadan, and so I'm trying to be sensitive to mosque goers there, and I'm filming the outside of this mosque, beautiful mosque. And there's a gentleman sitting in the doorway of this mosque, and he's watching me film, and I'm not trying to film him, I'm trying to film the mosque, but of course he's in the shot. And so he gets irritated and goes inside. And, I've got permission from Somaliland security, military, and my fixer to film this mosque on the outside. And when the guy goes inside, it's like a beehive. All these people start flooding out of the mosque, and of course they're irritable. It's they're fasting, they're not eating. That's how it is during Ramadan. So they're irritable, and they're not a lot of patience for some shithead foreigner pointing his camera at their mosque. And so I'm talking like maybe 50 people flood out of this mosque and are start yelling at us and screaming at us and telling me to go to hell and get out of here. And my security steps, the military dude steps in between me and these guys that are coming out of this mosque and screaming at them to go back, to take a step back, to go back, and saying that he has permission to film this mosque. And of course they keep coming at keep walking towards us. And so he takes his AK-47 and he racks the slide on it and does it, and doesn't faze them at all. Though they keep coming. I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, I'm going to cause an international incident. This guy's going to shoot all these mosque goers because of some, moron tourist here. And so he's screaming at him. And so he racks the slide again on his AK-47 and points it at him. And he starts screaming. And he says in Somali, I asked him what he said before. He says, if you don't stop, I'm going to shoot all of you, or something like that. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to shoot you. And so at this point in time, I'm thinking, good God, I got to do something. So trying to be the hero here, I'm thinking the only way that they're going to trust me or calm them down is if I, let them know that there's no threat, it's an honest mistake. So I step in front of the AK-47 of my security guard. I step in front of his rifle, in between the people and the rifle. And I'm going like this. I'm asking the guy. I asked him if he speaks Arabic. I don't know if he was the imam there, but he was someone who was in charge of the mosque for handling it. And he did speak Arabic. He spoke formal Arabic, and I speak very little formal Arabic. But I asked him if he spoke Arabic, and he did. So at least I could communicate with him somewhat. And so when I'm standing with an AK-47 pointed on my back, and these guys here, and I'm talking to the guy, and I'm saying, listen, I'm here. I'm greeting him, in Arabic, very religious. Assalamu alaikum. And I tell him I'm here just to show the beauty of this mosque, to show the beauty of your community. And with that, he says, sorry for the misunderstanding. And he takes me by the arm, and the two of us, he takes me into the mosque while my security and these guys are still kind of yelling at each other. And the two of us walk into the mosque, and he gives me a whole tour of the mosque, lets me film all inside the mosque. And there's a video of us, I'm vlogging, I'm talking with him, he's talking with me. And so it was just like a really, really kind of a beautiful way to remedy this whole chaotic situation.
De-escalate and just...
Exactly, yeah. And so at the end, I thank them, give this guy a hug, thank him, and we leave. And our fixture was like, that was the craziest shit I've ever seen. And I asked the security guard, was like, I told them I was going to shoot them if they took one more step. And the fixer was like, no foreigner has ever been allowed in this mosque, especially during Ramadan. And so, it was kind of the beauty of language, right? The beauty of learning languages and being able to connect with people. So, pretty awesome.
Dude, this was your first podcast? I just have to say, like,
Appreciate it.
Thanks so much for coming on, man. You've been a hell of a guest. Laid some hell of good, great stories down on the guests, and I really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. Thanks for having me, Phil. It's been a real pleasure. Hope to come back someday.
So people, go check out Ricky.Seaman. Is that what it is?
Yep, RICKY.SEAMAN for Instagram, and then YouTube. It's just the same, Ricky Seaman with no dot.
Love it.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you. Appreciate it, Phil.
Thank you so much, buddy.
Awesome. Thanks, brother.